Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Madinat Mom podcast. I'm Nour, your host, and today we're going to be talking about something that impacts all the moms out there, and that is the weight of mom guilt. And you probably never heard of the term or the concept mom guilt before becoming a mom. I know for me it was a very foreign concept, and I hadn't heard of it until I gave birth to my daughter. The thing about mom guilt is that it sort of sneaks up on you before you even know what it is, before you even know how to define it, and then it sticks and it's quite clingy. It kind of impacts your entire motherhood journey. The first time that I felt mom guilt was when I went out with my husband for dinner to celebrate the 40th day mark. So it was 40 days after I had given birth. And in a lot of countries in the Middle East, like Lebanon, that 40-day mark is so important, and it sort of marks the rebirth of someone, sort of the start of a new stage. So we went out to celebrate. We were close to the house, 3-minute drive. My daughter was at home, safe and sound, in the loving hands of my mom. But I still felt really guilty about being away from her so early in our journey. And I had this constant thought in my head, like, I shouldn't be there. I should be home. It's not the time. We have a saying in Arabic that says, "Killu bu'atu halo," like everything in its own time is nice. And I just felt like that wasn't the time for me to be out. And then a few months later, I returned to work. And the guilt was overwhelming. I kept thinking about the moments I was missing, the time I was spending away from her, even the times when I was working from home and I would be on a call and I know my daughter was in the next room. I kept thinking about the fact that I should be there with her and playing and just enjoying her at that time. So the guilt really, really ate me up and it became overwhelming. And so let's really break it down. What is mom guilt? If we were to define mom guilt, it's basically a wave of negative emotions that impact you or that you feel when you think that you should be doing more as a mom. And so even though you know that you're doing your best and you know that you're doing your best, you still feel like you're falling short. But if we were to really think about it, mom guilt comes from a set of standards or expectations that we've set for ourselves. And those expectations are shaped by culture, by society, even by curated images of motherhood on social media. And so, in its simplest form, mom guilt is the idea that we need to be perfect mothers. Perfect play dates, perfect meals, perfect houses, even sometimes perfect patience. But we all know that perfection is an illusion. And chasing perfection will leave us feeling empty and exhausted and overwhelmed because we're chasing something that we can't achieve. But still, we find ourselves chasing that in our motherhood journey because we experience a love so big that we want nothing but the best for our little ones. And we want to be nothing but the best of ourselves for our little ones. And so let's really think about the world we live in today. The truth is, the world that we live in doesn't make motherhood any easier. There's just so much going on. There's too many activities. There's too much work. How many people in your circle tell you that they are overworked and overwhelmed from work? I'm willing to bet a lot of them. There's just too much going on. There's too many things to be afraid of. The news is overwhelming. Everybody has a lot on their plates. And so the world that we live in, the fast-paced world that we live in, doesn't make motherhood any easier. For the people that are working, we preach phrases like work-life balance, even though we live in a world that is very unpredictable. And life with kids is even more unpredictable. And so how are we expected to achieve a balance when every day looks different? I know for me, my balance is different every single day. Some days I'm able to work more than others. Some days I'm able to spend more time with my daughter than others. Some days I'm able to do something for myself. Other days I'm not. My balance looks different every single day. And so how are we supposed to achieve work-life balance when life is unpredictable? And then there's social media. Let's talk about social media. We scroll through curated images of motherhood that are not the entire reality of what that person is experiencing. And we see what good moms should be doing. And I'm putting good moms in little quotations because I really don't believe in defining moms based on the following terms. But this is what we see on social media. We see that good moms are those, for example, that breastfeed instead of bottle feed. Or good moms are those that co-sleep instead of putting their babies to sleep in a room by themselves. Or good moms are those that don't travel without their kids, right? There's a lot of these definitions that we see online. And sometimes we forget that social media is just a highlighted reel. It's not the entire reality of motherhood. And it's not our version of motherhood. It's not our journey. And we tend to forget that. And so today's episode is about reframing our mindset to really get to the root problem of mom guilt. And here's the thing, mom guilt is not a result of your shortcomings. It is a symptom of overwhelming expectations set on moms by the society that we live in. So I want to tell you, you are not the problem. I am not the problem. It is the system that we live in. So for a long time, I thought that I was the problem. I thought that I needed to be doing more. I needed to reframe my mindset. I needed to push through this mom guilt, learn how to manage my time more effectively so that I'm able to do everything that I want to do, whether it was for my kids or for myself or for my work. I always felt like I was the problem, and I thought mom guilt would eventually go. But here's the thing, mom guilt is not a result of what a mom is or isn't doing, but it is rather a result of unsustainable expectations set on moms. Culturally speaking, in the Middle East, moms are often seen as the backbone of a family, as the glue that holds a household together. From a young age, a woman is told that she will need to nurture and care for her families. And while all of this is beautiful, it's a beautiful way of looking at motherhood. And I know from myself, my mom was the glue that held our household together. It's still a lot of pressure on one person to feel like they need to be everything for everyone. And how is that even possible when systems that support mothers are still lacking? In a lot of countries in the world, and including the Middle East, support postpartum is still lacking. And for a lot of us that live away from our loved ones, that live away from our households, from our countries, and we're expat moms, we often find ourselves doing a lot of things on our own without the support of our family or loved ones, and without the proper support of a broader system in place set to help moms out. And so what do I mean by this? For example, in a lot of countries in the Middle East, maternity leave is still set at 45 days. 45 days. The mother is still physically recovering during that time, let alone adjusting to the emotional and mental demands of motherhood. And let's not even talk about the paternal leave, which is not really there in a lot of the cases. And so a mother is left to juggle a lot on her own while still recovering herself from just having given birth to a baby. And so I want to encourage you to shift the narrative from thinking, I should be doing more, to thinking I should be doing less. Let me say that again once, loud and clear. Moms should not be doing more. They should be doing less. The entire system needs to be reimagined, from workplace policies to societal expectations to cultural expectations. And instead of holding ourselves accountable to standards that are impossible to meet, although they are standards we've set for ourselves, I want to encourage you to focus on what truly matters, and that is showing up as your true authentic self, being present for your kids with love. That is what truly matters. Your kids need you. They don't need the mom that does the perfect meals, or they don't need the mom that is always around. They need you. They need your version of motherhood. I was listening to Dr. Daniel Amen the other day talk. He's a psychiatrist. I'll put his link down below. If you haven't seen any of his episodes, make sure to check them out. And he said something that really stuck with me. And he said, if you choose to work, do it with confidence. If you choose to stay at home, do it with confidence. Whatever you choose to do it with confidence. Because if you don't, you will raise confused kids. And so what this really means is that whatever you choose to do, the kind of mother that you choose to be, do it with confidence. Be at peace with your decisions and really portray that to your little ones. So with all this talk, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, okay, Nour, but how do we overcome this mom guilt? How do we get over this gut feeling, this awful feeling we get anytime we do anything with motherhood? And the truth is, we put a lot of responsibility on ourselves as moms. I know for myself, I have a overdeveloped sense of responsibility for what happens with my daughter throughout her day. Whether she ate, whether she slept, whether she was happy, I just feel responsible for it all. And I do realize that a lot of things are outside of my control, but I still want her to be the happiest that she can be. I want to be the best version of myself for her. And so I put this weight on my shoulders, as I know that a lot of moms do. So having said that, do I really think we can completely get over mom guilt? While that sounds amazing, I honestly don't think we can completely get over it. And the reason for that is because we are so emotionally attached. We love this little person so much. We care for them so much. And as long as we love and care for them this much, there will always be guilt involved. But guilt doesn't have to be a bad thing. A little bit of guilt can actually be a good thing. Sometimes mom guilt makes us a better parent, as long as we don't let the guilt overwhelm us and get the best of us. And as long as we let go of this misconception that we should be doing it all, sometimes guilt is not a bad thing. But having said that, how can we manage mom guilt? Let's talk about some recommendations to manage mom guilt. The first one is pick your battles. And so take a minute to think about moments in your day that made you feel a certain way or made you feel guilty. And try to really think if those moments were worth your time and your energy, or that feeling was worth it. So there are some things that you can realistically adjust and realistically change, while there are other things that it's okay to feel a little guilt over. Let's do this exercise together. Think about your day to day. Think about what it is that triggers your mom guilt. Is it leaving your little one when you go off to work? Is it letting your toddler watch a little bit of extra screen time while you get some rest? Is it guilty over not preparing balanced meals every single day? Like, what is it? What is triggering your mom guilt? Once you've identified that, think about two things. Is this guilt worth holding on to? So what I mean by that is this guilt actually making you a better parent? Is it worth holding on to? Or is this something I can let go of? Now, some things here and there you can slightly adjust, and that can help with your mom guilt. But there are other things that are really beyond our control. They're not really making us better parents. And so we really need to learn how to let go of the feeling of guilt when it comes to that situation. Let me give you an example. Let's say you miss a couple of bedtime routines here and there for whatever reason, whether that's work or personal reasons. This is one of those guilts that you can let go of. This is not defining the mother that you are. This is not defining whether you are a better parent or not. And if you miss a few bedtime routines or bedtime stories here and there, this doesn't make you a bad parent. So this is one of those guilts that we should look at and say, okay, this one I should be able to let go of. So that's number one. Pick your battles. Number two is let go of the perfectionist expectations. Think of it this way. As a mom, you're constantly growing and learning, and it's really a process of development. It's a journey of development. You are growing alongside your child, as you need to be, because as your child grows, they need more and more. So the idea of us needing to reach that perfect version of ourselves is unrealistic, because we want to continue growing alongside our child. And the thing about that is that your child needs you. They only need you. They don't need perfect. They just need your version of motherhood. Failure is a part of it. Let's face it, we've all had a little failure moments here and there, and that's okay. We need to reframe our mindset to stop looking at failure as such a negative thing. I know for me growing up, failure was always negative. It always had this negative connotation to it. But the truth of the matter is, failure teaches your kids resilience. It teaches your kids to fall and get back up and try again. And I don't know about you, but I don't want my daughter to grow up chasing the illusion of perfection. I don't want her chasing this idea. I want her to accept failure as part of her journey. I want her to accept growth as part of her journey. And I want her to always be eager to grow. So that's number two. Let go of those perfectionist expectations. Number three, and it's something that sometimes I find hard to do, but that is share your feelings. Finding a support system that can really help you, that can really listen to you without judgment, that knows you, that understands you, and that you're able to talk to about anything you're feeling is so important. And sometimes we just need a little bit of reassurance. Sometimes we just need to be told, you're doing great, or you shouldn't be guilty over this. That little reassurance sometimes can give us the boost that we need to keep going. And sometimes voicing out our concerns or our feelings, it really just makes us realize that it's much bigger in our head than it actually is in real life. And so finding that support system that you're able to talk to is very important in being able to share your feelings and being able to manage mom guilt. For me, my husband has always been my sounding board. And he is my safe space that I can really talk to about anything without judgment. And so whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed with guilt, I turn to him and I talk to him about what I'm feeling. I remember when I got pregnant with my second baby, I felt this incredible amount of guilt over not being able to run around and jump around with my daughter the way that I used to before I got pregnant, because I was in my first trimester. And let's face it, that first trimester is not for the faint of heart. So I was so tired. All I wanted to do was sleep. All I wanted to do was sit back and relax. And I didn't really have the energy to keep up with a toddler. And so what I tried to do is I tried to overcompensate. I started doing bedtime routines. I started doing showers and bedtime routines, which is something my husband sometimes does when he's in town. And he does that to help me. I started doing mornings with my daughter, and my daughter's morning schedule is all over the place. We get a 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. Sometimes we get a good night's sleep, sometimes we don't. So I started doing mornings with my daughter, also to overcompensate for the fact that I could no longer run around and jump around with her the way that I used to. And the mornings is something that my husband used to help me out with so that I was able to sleep in and wake up feeling a little bit more rested. What ended up happening is that I got burned out. I got really sick. And I quickly realized that this wasn't a pace I couldn't keep up with. So it wasn't until I actually voiced my feelings to my husband that he helped me find a new balance that worked for me at the time. And he helped me realize that guilt was one of those guilts that I should be able to let go of. And I did. And so voicing my feelings to him was very helpful for me in understanding that this is one of those unnecessary guilts that I shouldn't be putting my energy into and I should be able to let go of. That's number 3. Number 4, we can't talk about guilt without talking about comparison. We live in a world where we are surrounded by comparison, whether it's comparison from the mom community around us, whether it's from our society, or whether it's from social media. Comparison is exhausting, and it's one of the root causes of mom guilt. So really accepting and understanding that your mom journey is only yours, it's uniquely yours, and you are not meant to be like any other mom out there is very important in being able to manage mom guilt. For social media itself, social media can get overwhelming. And when you do realize that there are certain pages that are affecting your mood, affecting your energy, block them. You don't need that noise, especially at a time in your life when you're still trying to figure out the kind of mother that you are, and you are still trying to be okay with that. So if you need to block out some of the noise, then do that. That's okay. Comparison can be one of the main causes that make us feel guilty, make us feel like we are not doing enough. So, having said all of this, I want to send out a message to every mom listening out there. If you're sitting thinking about what you didn't do yesterday, or what you could have done differently, or how, you missed a bedtime routine, or how you let your daughter watch TV on a Saturday when you think she should be out and playing, whatever it is that is going through your head, I want to remind you that you are doing enough. I want to remind you that mom guilt, to an extent, is okay. It's making you a better parent, and it's okay to feel a little bit of mom guilt here and there, but don't let it define you. Don't let it define the kind of mother that you are or your motherhood journey. Accept it as part of your journey, but not as your entire journey. Remember that you cannot do everything on your own, and you are not expected to do everything on your own. So let go of that feeling that you should always be doing more. You shouldn't be doing more. You should be doing less. So really try to accept that. Remember that your kids don't notice the little things that you stress over. They don't notice if the house is messy. They don't notice that you gave them pasta 2 or 3 nights in a row for dinner. They probably, if anything, love that. So your kids just notice you. They notice your love. They notice the comfort that your presence brings. Keep that in mind. They don't need anybody other than you. They just need you and the version of motherhood that you are bringing to them. So I'll leave you with this. Your feelings are valid. It's okay to feel guilty. A little bit of mom guilt every now and then is not a bad thing. Just don't let it define your motherhood journey. Remember that the weight that we carry isn't just personal. It is rooted in unrealistic expectations set on moms. I hope you found this episode helpful, and if you did, please make sure to share it with a mama friend. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button below to keep up with our upcoming episodes. We actually have our first guest coming up in the next episode, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Remember that if you have a story to share, share it with us on Madinat Mom's Instagram. We'd love to be a part of it. Until next time, take care of yourself as fiercely as you take care of your little ones.